Hello, and welcome to Dr. Slaton Live, the brain's body, the ultimate experience. And we're going to continue our conversation about the crisis of self, right? Because I think that's critical, because my literature deals with the breath of life experience. And so children that are born in the crises, there's 4 levels of engagement that you want to look at when you're trying to recover them at the earliest point possible, because you come into life head first. So the first thing that you worry about is the brain and then the body. But there's 3 things that I want you to unfold: your sense, to feel, to focus, cycle, because contact, interaction, cooperation, and participation are the 4 stages that are set up at the point of the breath of life forward. And what I mean by that is, when the child comes out of the womb, they have contact with the environment, other people. And from that point on, they are already engaged. So the experience of self in relation to that contact. Now, if that contact was not comforting, remember, you're born as an emotional state. So you're already emotional at the breath of life. That's why when you get spanked on the butt, you cry. That's the emotional side. So the sense of self is to understand, how do I evolve from this emotional state of anxiety to become more informed if your home is not set up for you to experience recovery? The crisis of self, recovery because you have problems moving through contact. The crisis of self, recovery because you have problems moving through interaction with other people, which disturbs how you interact with yourself. So first things first, self-learning is about understanding self, because in order to overcome the crisis of self, you must begin to work on you. And working on you means you must practice moving through your own contact. I wake up in the morning, I can feel myself. So I interact through those feelings of anxiety. So I want to know where I am. I want to calm myself down. Now come full circle with the environment. You want to know how to interact with yourself so that you can interact with other people, because this is neurologic energy, the transformations of your brain's chemistry at work. So what I'm saying is, you reset the sense path by understanding how to interact with yourself. Contact, you wake up. You feel, that's the neurologic energy. And then you focus. And as you come to focus, you're moving through the receive path. So now you have to cooperate. And if you can cooperate with yourself, see, that's the key, because no one else can do this for you. You have to cooperate with yourself. So you don't assume that cooperation means you're giving in to someone else. No. When you're recovering from the crisis of self, you have to interact with yourself cooperatively to learn how to move through the experience and then understand the consequences. Good and bad energy is moving through you. Being able to comprehend the consequences is critical to learning how to live inside your own body. So I'll say it again: self-contact, self-interaction, self-cooperation, self-participation. Because what do you have to do? No, you don't have to perform for me. You have to perform for yourself. And you can't perform if you cannot live through your own levels of interaction, because the brain's inside your body. And the chemistry that's going on, that's evolving, is inside of you. Now I say the state of mind. The state of mind is a reflective state that services the external self. What I'm talking about right now is your sense of feel for self and the brain. That is the metaphysics transformation into the neural things of self, where your brain takes the lead. And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. That's the recovery. When you can get to the point where you can understand that when you're interacting and cooperatively with other people, that your brain is in the lead. And now you must trust your growth cycles, because trying to evolve out of the crisis of self, where you're blocking the flow of information. You're saying, no, I'm not going to experience that anymore. I'm not letting that information go through me. So you shut down, you withdraw, you isolate, you give in to the external energy that's influencing you internally, and it's you, because you have not experienced the consequences of learning how to learn through a sense of feel for self. Self has feelings. Self feels everything. You can't deny, you can't run from it. You move through it. Why? Because then your forward and backward feed kicks in. And that's what neutralizes the negative energy. Because now your brain is in the lead. So now your brain is sending three things forward: thought, reflection, emotion. Remember, your state of mind is memory, the reflective capacity of the experience. So the experience is still in there, so you know what happened. But now the brain is sending new information, energy, and action, which clarifies and moves you through the consequence of self. So you're no longer hard on yourself, because you begin to understand self. Because you begin to understand this is what happened. And this is why, if I only would have done this earlier, then I'd be further ahead than what I am right now. And I wouldn't be in this current state where I'm so upset at myself for not coming to understand my self-knowledge about me, what I have to do for me to make sure I'm successful, perform. What I have to do for me to make sure that I'm performing for me. Because no one can live for me. No one can help me unless I help them help me. I have to perform. What do you have to perform? Sense and receive path transformation. The external environment, its influences enter your system, the brain responds, forward feed, now the conflict emerges. Body-brain conflict. Because the body is physical, it's under attack. The brain is neuromental, and it is the problem-solving tool of your technology. But you have to cooperate by allowing the information flow to move through you. Now, remember what I'm saying, your defense mechanism simply is this. When I'm talking about the consequences, so you're learning from the consequences, which means you're not giving in. What you're doing is you're arming your inner sense of feel for self and brain awareness on how your system responds to complexity. And that's the reflective capacity to change your state of mind, because you have new information flowing that says, let's try it this way versus that way. Now you have the experience, so when it happens again, you don't have to go through the full diagnostic of self-analysis. The brain is in the lead, bam. It stops it right there at the door, because your resolution is forward feed. And that forward feed allows you isolate and withdraw without hurting yourself. And the information flows. Because your brain is a neurologic system. And when you look at yourself as physical, and the transformation of your sense of self to a sense of feel for self just simply means that the external you meets the internal you, and they cooperate. They merge as one. Whereas yesterday you were conflicted because you didn't know how to move from the external self to the internal self, because of all the emotion and the threats of being changed and the insecurities that go along with feeling that someone else is influencing your judgment, when that's not the case. Your human system functions as a response system to anything you experience. But the key is learning how to understand the consequence. You can't deny that it hurts. You can't deny that you're sad. You can't deny that that thing you call love didn't feel like love to you, and that's why you hurt. I'm just giving you an analogy. Not a true analogy, but it's similar to what I've seen my kids experience. Not having a father in the home, and listen to other men tell them, and they're open because that person's saying, well, it's because you don't have a dad. No. It's not because you didn't have a dad. It's because your sense path is disturbed by the reality of having to process that time and time again. And then you have to respond, and you don't have the information. flow to respond. But you can't respond because the brain is gathering all this information when you go through, listen, when you go through energy, action, and feelings transferring into the brain's body, thought, reflection kicks in. That is a confluence or a synthesis of the experience of self and the world. So all that information gathering is at your fingertips, and that's what that forward feed is. Because you accept the consequences of performing sense and receive path research, self-research. You understand what I'm saying? So the ultimate experience of the brain's body is you. Because when you begin to understand what I'm saying to you about the crisis of self, the breath of life experience, you go back and look at how you came into the world. 4 things. How did you experience your home? How did you experience your school? How did you experience your neighborhood? How did you experience your workplace today? Now look back and ask me to ask you this question. How did they impact my ability to process information? This has been Dr. Slaton Live. I want to thank you. I'll be back shortly. We got to get through this. This is just part 1, the crisis of self. Check me out. Subscribe.